Team USA. A lot of focus going to be on that through the course of the upcoming summer games in Paris. Who better to come on and tell us all about it than the senior NBA writer for Yahoo Sports, host of the Good Word podcast. Vincent Goodwill is with us. Vincent, thanks a lot for being here, man. So far, so good, it seems like, at least in the win column for Team USA. What are your biggest takeaways from what we've seen so far?
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me. I think the biggest takeaways is you can see that the talent disparity between the United States and virtually every other team. I know we haven't seen them play France yet with Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert, but I feel like the talent disparity is as wide as advertised. I think you saw the game against Canada and also against who does Nikola Jokic play for? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on Serbia. Why am I drawing a blank on that? That's ridiculous.
He's only the most famous Serbian on the planet. It's okay.
Right.
You got time to
computer
catch
brain.
up.
I got computer scramble brain right now. I'm like the airlines. I'm just screwing everything up this afternoon. But honestly, I think you're looking at the talent. And you're looking at guys off the bench like Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo who are playing markedly better than Joel Embiid. And you're starting to see sort of the Stephen Curry, LeBron James connections start to happen. Like they're winning off of talent right now. They haven't just begun to develop the continuity. And I think you're going to see a little bit more of that in the final two exhibition games before going off to Paris. Like there's still a lot more room to grow. But there are some things that concern me. But as far as right now, the talent is just wide.
We always talk about, some of the differences in the international game versus the NBA game. Joel Embiid seems to be a guy maybe in that category where his style of play, what he does in the post and on the outside, it just seems like right now it's an awkward fit. Is that fair?
That's more than fair. I think you can see some of the correlation between how he plays in the playoffs, where his numbers drop precipitously, even, not necessarily this year, but in previous years, it's because he relied so much on the officiating. And you saw there was a play against Nikola Jokic where he had a clear lane to the basket on the catch, and instead of turning over his left shoulder and just dunking, he wanted to throw his body into Jokic and get a foul, and the international refs are not going for that. Like they allow a lot more physicality on the post. They allow a lot more physicality on the perimeter. And if you're someone who is slow and plotting and you are very deliberate in how you make decisions, he's not a quick twitch sort of guy. He doesn't make quick decisions. You can't give him the ball and have a quick movement either way. Like he's got to look and evaluate and everything else. And I don't think that is built for Steve Kerr's offense. That's not built for an offense where you're playing next to Stephen Curry and LeBron James and Anthony Edwards and possibly Kevin Durant. Like you need to be able to move quickly. And when you're seeing in Bam and when you're seeing in Anthony Davis, those two players, defensively, those two dudes are monsters. And offensively, they make quick decisions, so they're better fit for international play. Add to the fact that Joel Embiid looks like he is screaming for Elizabeth to come home to him, like every time he is out there. That man is laboring, and I'm just wondering if he's going to get himself in great enough shape to really be a contributor.
Well, we're too late to make roster changes, right? I know that there was an early tweak with Kawhi, which seemed like, they decided mutually that he was going to go back. It was like a fair way to cut a really good dude and a good player off the team. So, at this point, are we talking about the rotations changing? We still got a couple more, I believe, friendlies up here before they open up the actual games on July 28th against Serbia.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. With a guy like Embiid, even though he doesn't necessarily fit in the starting lineup, if you put him on the bench unit, he's even a more awkward fit because that group plays faster with Tyrese Halliburton, who likes getting it up and down the floor, and even, Jason Tatum, who I will assume it will come off the bench when Kevin Durant gets back there. Like you can only have so many players who play a deliberate style amongst your five, and he's only a fit because those other guys know how to make quicker decisions. I'm talking about Joel Embiid here. But no, I don't think there's going to be any lineup changes or anything. Maybe lineup changes, but it won't be anything as far as somebody getting sent home. Like he ain't Kawhi Leonard. Like there's a level of politics that sort of goes with an MVP in his prime deciding not to play for France or anybody else and coming to play for the United States. It would just be bad form. They're just going to have to make do. And hopefully for the United States' sake, they won't need him to be MVP Embiid.
The officiating is a really interesting point, too, that I hadn't thought a lot about. But if I think back to this past NBA playoffs, I was struck by how so many of the star players seem in the NBA so reliant on officiating, whether it's Luka, who seems to complain after every single play, whether it is Jokic, who is always, doing that kind of flat shrug to the officials after every basket, every single one. And then obviously you've got some of the American players, as you made the point about Embiid. Is that a FIBA standard that they're simply not going to, call it the same way as the NBA, or why is the officiating so much disparate in the international game?
Well, if you remember, like the NBA changes how it's officiated. They've gone through so many changes over the past 20 years because they wanted to increase the scoring. And then they started to increase the scoring even without allowing like the handshakes on the perimeter and not even being able to put an arm bar on somebody in the post. And then all of a sudden the league decided we're going to shoot all the threes. So then the scoring exploded then, and you have to start bringing it back a little bit. Whereas with FIBA, there isn't anything they're necessarily trying to sell. Like I guess you could say, a more pure universal brand of basketball. The lane, is wider compared to in the NBA or narrower compared to what the NBA is. So that allows teams to plant their bigs underneath the rim. The NBA doesn't want that. They want the clear lanes open so its stars can get downhill for the fantastic dunks and everything else, because they're trying to sell and market the game. FIBA doesn't have that responsibility, so their officiating is going to be a lot more uniform over the course of 20, 30, 40 years, and the talent in the countries will adjust to it because these are the only rules that they know. In the NBA, because it changes so much because of whatever objective is the league is serving at the moment, the players adjust. And I think when you're looking at the players in the NBA, they're used to consistency. You get 82 games of games being officiated a certain way, and then in the playoffs, all of a sudden those touch fouls aren't touch fouls anymore, or you're barreling down the lane and you feel like you're getting clobbered and the officials are saying get up and play. That's where the players get a little bit of a bad rap because they are used to muscle memory throughout the season, and then the playoffs is a different game. I like playoff basketball. I don't need the touch fouls. I don't need the guys flailing and flopping away. Play ball, check up top. Like, I'm from Detroit. I have scars on my knees and all that stuff. I can't hoop no more, but I'm just saying, if you ask me what type of basketball I prefer to watch, Tom, that is the basketball I prefer to watch. I am a child of the bad boys, so no blood, no foul, and even if it is blood, take it up top.
My Instagram algorithm is convinced all I want to see ever are 80s hockey and basketball fights. And the stuff that was allowed to happen in the 70s and 80s, I mean, flat clubbing people, Larry Bird's punching people. I mean, it's craziness. And it was like, it wasn't every single game, but it was a lot. And growing up watching that in the 80s and then seeing the style of play now, it's just amazing how the game has changed. But to the extent that, well, the NFL, the NFL and other sports like that have also taken out some of the rougher areas of the game. I think that's just a societal trend that we've seen a little bit. With LeBron James, we showed him just a little bit ago playing in that game against Australia. He's 39 years old at this point. From what I've seen, and you've watched it a lot more closer, Vincent Goodwill is our guest, than I have, it seems like LeBron is in pretty good form right now. He's played on this stage before. He's played well through these exhibition games. I almost wonder if perhaps you go back to the 2020, the COVID bubble playoffs, where it was much shorter amount of time and you just had to make that push, right, for a month or so. I almost wonder if this is a similar type of thing where at this stage, an 82-game season and a long playoff run might not play to what LeBron can do. But if you tell him you got to go out and just win these games over the next 3 weeks, you maybe can dig a little bit deeper and get something more from LeBron.
There's a defined finish line. I think you're pointing that. You're looking at this in the Olympics, it's going to be, 17 days or 19 days
right,
or whatever it is. And if you're going to play every other day and you're going to be in this environment where iron sharpens iron. You've never played on a team with Stephen Curry before. He's been in the Olympics with Kevin Durant before. He wants to be on this team with Anthony Edwards and some of the new blood. I think it's kind of reinvigorating for a guy like that, where it almost brings the joy back. Like, think about this. LeBron, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, those teams they're on are miserable. You know what I mean? Like, you're not championship teams in Phoenix and Golden State and the Lakers. So this is not just a vacation. This is almost like an Oprah moment. You're renewing your spirit. Your blood is flowing a little bit better. And even though the pressure is on the United States to win a gold medal, and Lord knows what would happen if they don't. Mm-hmm. But it isn't the everyday pressure of playing with the Lakers and everything that goes with that and the heaviness that it's going to be. This is going to be somewhat like a freeing atmosphere atmosphere for all three of those guys, because you can lose love for the game as you get older, as the losses pile up, the frustration, you're further away from real championship contention. Winning a gold medal could mean a lot to not just LeBron, but all three of those guys. And to your point about Larry Bird, a little aside, Larry Bird so incensed Dr. J, the greatest gentleman the league has ever seen, that Dr. J had enough of Larry Bird's guff in a game in 1985, I want to say. He outscored Dr. J 42-6, and Dr. J fired on him. He hit him in the face like 3, 4, 5 times in a row. How pissed off do you have to make the biggest gentleman in the game with your trash talking and outscoring him 42-6 that you just get your face clobbered by the biggest gentleman in the game? Don't you miss those days?
Yeah, it's right behind TJ over there.
Yo, Vince, what up, man?
What's up?
You know, I'm a Sixers fan, and so from the first few minutes here, I already got your thoughts on Embiid. So I'm not even going to talk about the Sixers right now. I'm just going to have to calm down from that. But as I think we talked about last time I'm here, I also love the Clippers, man, living here in L.A. for 25 years. And there's a new arena opening, maybe the greatest of all time, the 10th wonder of the world. What kind of product is Ballmer going to put on that court for the first time, man?
Do you have a thing for toxic relationships? You're a Philadelphia 76ers fan.
It seems
and
so,
a Los Angeles Clippers fan.
Look, man, I can't explain it, Vinny. I don't know.
Yes, you can. No, I used to be a Detroit Football Lions fan. And then on July 27th, 1999, I quit. You want to know why I quit?
I would love to know.
Barry walked.
When Barry walked, I walked. I'm like, I've had enough of this. I was only 15 years old.
Are you back, Vince? Are you back 25 years later?
It would be so disingenuous of me to come back. And all the fans who endured all the misery for all those years, they want to welcome me back with open arms. I just can't in good faith come back.
So instead, you're spending your Sundays, you go to the grocery store, the mall, you do everything because nobody else is out there. From 1 to 4 Eastern time, you got the whole city to yourself.
Tom, you're crazy. I'm watching it just like everybody else is. I'm just not doing it with a rooting interest for the Detroit Football Lions. I quit. I can't get my Russian title back. I wanted that Barry Sanders Russian record. That was my Super Bowl. So when they took that away from me, Tom. I decided to. Yes, it was taken away. It was personal. Taken away from me. Now to your point about the Clippers.
Well, Vince, I'll just slip in there real quick. As a Cowboys fan and as an Emmett fan, they gave that to me. So you didn't get it, but I did get it. So I thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Did you have to say that?
I mean, it was kind of, I had to do something to make myself
feel good. Tell them
about
the Clippers suck now, Vince.
Yeah, now we can get into that. See,
okay, now we get to.
I hurt you because you hurt me a little bit. That's all.
And you are a Cowboys fan, which also means that you've been enduring misery. The more I'm learning about you, the more that I'm seeing that. And you're wearing a black and red NWO shirt. Wasn't those dudes the losers?
No, I swear. Vince Goodwill, that was the Wolf Pack.
It's the roast of T.J. Jefferson on the Rich Eisen Show featuring Vincent Goodwill.
And you better hope that Scott Steiner and Kevin Nash don't see this clip, bro, because, don't turn your back on the Wolf Pack. You might wind up in a body bag. You know that.
That's a good point. But no, to the Clippers in L.A., I think they made a decision with Paul George. And you got to see the ramifications of the salary cap. And to make another sort of NFL comparison here, you're starting to see teams have quarterbacks in the NBA. The quarterbacks are making $50 million, and you got a bunch of offensive linemen everywhere else. So teams are having to make these financial decisions, even with players like Paul George, who are, still stars, but maybe trending towards the back end of their career. And with the Clippers, they have all the money, and they have built this fantastic arena. I went and visited this last year before it was even completely built, and I was astonished at what the sightlines were going to be. I do think for a short period of time, TJ, it's going to be a novelty. It's near the Forum. It's near SoFi. Yeah. People are going to want to see it in Inglewood, but after a while, they're going to go back to being the Clippers, which are the stepchildren to the Lakers. It's just that they'll have their own home, and you have a short window period of time to gain the attention of people in LA because there's so many other entertainment options. I think they got about 2 years before they have to turn this thing back over because Kawhi Leonard is 34 and James Harden is 35. And although LeBron is playing forever, I don't think them two dudes will be.
I agree with you. And plus, Vince, I'm only 15 minutes from the Forum and SoFi and Intuit too. So I mean, at least I don't have that far to go to be disappointed during basketball season. You know. My
apologies. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry you're having to endure all this, man. That's why I'm learning from you. I'm sorry.
If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. Ain't that what they say? So I'm like Mark Henry right now, the world's strongest man.
Vince, this has been awesome, man. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate the time.
Hey, Tom, you're going to be in Detroit next week. I would advise like a barber, but your hair is magnificent.
I appreciate
You
that,
need no
man.
help there.
It's what I'm most known for.
Yeah, come on.
Vince, thanks a ton, man. That's Vincent Goodwill.
Appreciate y'all.
Read him at Yahoo. Listen to the Good Word podcast. And I believe he's actually going to go on to Twitter now and continue roasting T.J. Jefferson for the next couple hours, so keep an eye on that.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.